Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back and thank you for supporting me. I'm Coretta. So the latest trend is embroidery with rhinestones. Someone left a comment on one of my videos and asked, how can you make these designs if you do not have an embroidery machine? In this video, I will show you how you can create a similar design using rhinestones and HTV. Come on, y'all. Let's get started. For this project, I will be using a black Gildan's t-shirt. I will be using Caesar Easy Weed HTV and rhinestones from the baby's booty. I will be using rhinestone flock, Hotfix transfer tape. I will use an edge brush to brush in my rhinestones, and I'm going to use a wax pencil to place rhinestones into the circles that did not get a rhinestone. I will leave a list of these items in the description of this video. For this project, I will be using Silhouette Studio Business Edition to create a scattered rhinestone and HTV design. To begin, I am going to select the text tool on the left toolbar, and then I'm going to click anywhere on the canvas and I'm going to type imperfectly. I'm going to click anywhere on the canvas when I finish typing. I'm going to repeat these steps and I'm going to type perfect. Now that I have my text, I am going to change the color of my text. To change the color, I'm going to select the word imperfectly, and then on the right toolbar, I'm going to select the fill panel, and it is the icon that looks like a paint palette. I'm going to select red, and I'm also going to change the line color. So making sure that imperfectly is selected, then I'm going to select the line style panel that's on the right toolbar, and it is the icon with the 3 lines. When the panel opens, I am going to select the second icon for line color, and I'm going to select the fill color none, which is the square with the X in the middle. I'm going to follow these same steps to change the color for perfect. Now I'm going to select my font. To select my font, I'm going to select imperfectly. On the right toolbar, I'm going to select the text style panel, and it is the icon that looks like an uppercase A with a lowercase a. Once the panel opens, I am going to select the font Quincy from the list of fonts here. These are the frequently used fonts here, and these are your recently used, and you could use your scroll bar to scroll down to find the font that you're looking for. So I'm just going to scroll down. And I'm going to select Quincy. Because this is a script font, I am going to weld it so that each letter becomes one object. And to weld it, I am going to make sure that it's still selected. I'm going to go on the top menu. I'm going to select Object, Modify, and Weld. Now I'm going to select Perfect, and on the textile panel, I am going to select the font Fries and Shake. So now that I have selected my font, I am going to size and position my text to create the design that I want. But before I size my font, I want to point out that the bounding box that is around the word perfect is actually larger than the word. And so to get a more accurate size, I'm going to select the word perfect. On the top menu, I'm going to go and select object. I'm going to scroll down and then I'm going to select convert to path. And now you can see that the bounding box is closer around the word perfect. And because I welded the font for imperfectly, I do not have to convert this to path. Now I'm going to position and size my text using the corner handles on each word. I'm going to size the word perfect to about 9.5 inches in width because I am going to be using I'm going to be adding a scattered rhinestone effect to it. And so I'm just going to make it about 9.5 inches wide. Once I have the text positioned how I want it, I am going to make sure that it is aligned center. To align, I'm going to select both words. On the top menu, I'm going to select Object, Align, and Align Center. So let me zoom in just a little bit out, like right there. And as you can see, the word imperfectly is slightly overlapping the word perfect. And so that the two words can fit seamlessly together, I'm going to add an offset. To add an offset, I am going to select the word imperfectly. And on the right toolbar, I'm going to select the offset panel, and it is the icon that looks like a star. When the panel opens, I am going to select offset. I am going to change my distance to 0.055. Hit enter. And I kind of like it like that. And once I'm satisfied, I'm going to select apply. With the offset still selected, I'm going to change the color to white. And I'm going to change the line style to none. Adding the offset lets me see how the design is going to look without the text overlapping. Once I'm satisfied, I'm going to move the red layer off of the canvas. And then I'm going to select the white layer and the black layer. And on the right toolbar, I'm going to select the modify panel, and it is the icon with the intersecting square and circle. Once the modify panel opens, I am going to select subtract. After the subtraction, each letter becomes an individual object. So I need to make it one object again. To do this, I am going to make sure that the entire word perfect is selected. And on the top menu, I'm going to select object. And I'm going to scroll down and select make compound path. Now I have the space where imperfectly fits into the word perfect without any of the word overlapping. With the design complete, I'm going to make everything one color, and then I'm going to group it so that I can add the scattered rhinestone effect. To add the scattered rhinestone effect, I am going to make sure that the entire design is selected. And on the right toolbar, I'm going to select the offset panel. I'm going to select offset. I'm going to change my distance to 0.155 and hit enter. And your distance is going to depend on how close you want your rhinestones to be to your HTV design. I want mine to be close, but not so close. So once I'm satisfied with my offset, I am going to select apply. Next, I'm going to change the color of the offset to red. And I'm going to change the line style to none. Now I'm going to convert the offset to rhinestones. To convert to rhinestones, I am going to open the rhinestone panel by going to the top menu and select panels. And then I'm going to scroll down to rhinestones. On the rhinestone panel, there are 4 rhinestone effects. There are 4 rhinestone sizes. There is rhinestone spacing, and this is going to determine the space between the rhinestones. The default is 0.039. There's a free hand to draw your own rhinestones. There is release rhinestones, and this ungroups the rhinestones so that each circle becomes an individual circle. And then at the bottom is the rhinestone counter to let you know how many rhinestones are in your design. So to convert, I am going to make sure that the offset is selected. On the rhinestone panel, I am going to select the edge rhinestone effect. I'm going to select 10SS as my rhinestone size. I'm going to change my spacing to 0.017 and hit enter. With the first offset still selected, I am going to add another offset. I'm going to select offset on the right toolbar, and I'm going to undock it. So I'm going to move it over here to undock it. And then on the offset panel, I'm going to select offset. The distance is going to default to the last distance that I used, which is 0.155, and I am going to leave it at 0.155. I'm going to select apply. I am going to change the color to red, and I'm going to change the line style to none. On the rhinestone panel, so I'm going to go to panels, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to select rhinestones, and I'm going to undock this as well because I don't want it to keep disappearing. So I'm just going to take it and move it just a little bit. So once you move it, it becomes undocked. On the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select edge 10SS, and I'm going to change the spacing for this offset to 0.100 and hit enter. With the second rhinestone offset still selected, I'm going to select offset on the offset panel. I'm going to keep the distance at 0.155, and I'm going to select apply. I'm going to change the color, and I'm going to change the line style color. X out of that. On the rhinestone panel, I want edge, I want 10SS, and I'm going to change the spacing to 0.200 and hit enter. With the third rhinestone offset still selected, I'm going to select offset on the offset panel. I'm going to keep the distance at 0.155 and select apply. I'm going to change the color to red. I'm going to change the line style color to none. I'm going to select on the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select the edge rhinestone effect 10SS, and I'm going to change this spacing to 0.300 and hit enter. With the fourth rhinestone offset still selected, I am going to select offset on the offset panel, leave the distance at 0.155, select apply, change the color to red, change the line style color to none. On the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select edge with 10SS, and I am going to change this spacing to 0.400 and hit enter. I'm going to do one more offset. So again, with the fifth offset still selected, on the offset panel, I'm going to select offset, leave my distance at 0.155, select apply, change the color to red, the line style color to none. And on the rhinestone panel, I'm going to select edge as my rhinestone effect. I'm going to select 10SS as the rhinestone size, and I'm going to change this spacing to 0.500 and hit enter. Now that I've added my last rhinestone layer, I am going to move this text out of the way. So I'm going to move it here. And then I'm going to select all of my rhinestone layers. On the rhinestone panel, I am going to select release rhinestones. Once the rhinestones are released, I am going to check to see if any of the circles are overlapping each other. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to check. So I'm going to close these for now, and I'm going to check to see if any of the rhinestones are overlapping. So if any of your rhinestones are overlapping, you can use the mouse to move the rhinestone out of the way like that. And I'm going to delete this one. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. And then you can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to also move the rhinestones. After I check the rhinestones and make any adjustments, I am going to select all of the circles. And then on the top menu, I'm going to select Object and Group. Now that I have the design completed, I am going to create the layers so that I can upload into Cricut Design Space. To create the layers, I am going to select the rhinestone layer. On the top menu, I'm going to select Object, and I'm going to select Make Compound Path. If the color disappears, you just change the color back to red and change the line style color to none. I'm going to select the black layer, and I'm going to go to the top menu. I'm going to select Object and Make Compound Path. The color disappeared, so I'm going to change it back to black and change the line style color to none. With all of the layers identified, I am going to align everything back together, and I am going to save this as an SVG. To save the design as an SVG, I am going to select the entire design. On the top menu, I'm going to select Object and Group, making sure that the entire design is still selected. I am going to go to the top menu and select File, Save Selection, Save to Hard Drive. I am going to name my file. I'm going to change the Save As type to SVG, and I'm going to select OK. To cut the design, I am going to upload the design into Cricut Design Space. Here is the design on the canvas, and if you look on the layers panel, you can see all the layers. Sometimes the design may not come into Cricut Design Space at the correct size, so you may need to resize it. According to Silhouette Studio, my design should be 11.493 in width and 6.442 in height. So to check, I am going to select the entire design, and I'm going to go to the top toolbar, and I am going to check the width and the height. If it is not the correct size, then I'm going to correct the size. Now that the design is sized correctly, I am ready to cut it out. So I'm going to select Make on the top right. On this screen is the design on the color coordinated mats. So you have the black layer, which is the HTV layer, and you have the red layer, which is the Rhinestone layer. For the HTV layer, I am going to mirror this design. And to mirror it, I am going to toggle on the mirror here when it turns green. And that is going to mirror the image. Because for the rhinestone design, because I am using Hotfix transfer tape to pick up these rhinestones, there is no need for me to mirror this design. And so now I'm just going to select Continue on the bottom right. Here on the material screen, I am going to select the type of material the design will be cut with. And to cut the HTV, I am going to use the Everyday Iron-On setting. I am going to place the HTV on the mat with the shiny side down. To cut the rhinestone flock, I will select the material setting that I created to cut the rhinestone flock. My material setting is 345 cut pressure with 1 pass using a fine point blade. I am going to cut the HTV and the rhinestone flock. I'm going to brush in the rhinestones into the design, and I'm going to come back to assemble it. Here I am at the heat press, and I have my HTV layer already placed on the shirt. The shirt was lint rolled and pre-pressed to remove any moisture. I have my design placed on my shirt about 3 inches down from the bottom of the collar, and I am going to press this layer at 305 for 15 seconds. So now I am going to place the rhinestones on the shirt, and I am going to make sure that none of the rhinestones is touching any of the HTV. So you want to make sure it's not touching any of the HTV because the rhinestones will not stick to the HTV. So you just want to make sure you take your time, place it down, and make sure that it is not touching any of the HTV. Now that I have it placed, I am going to press this at 350 degrees for 15 seconds. Okay, y'all, let's see the final result because it looks so pretty. Oh my goodness, it is so cute. Oh my God, look at it, y'all. Look at it. It is gorgeous. Oh wow. What do you guys think? All right, guys, that's all for now. I hope that you're able to follow along with my process. If you like this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and consider subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will respond back. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.